Dr. Arif Noor is the Sudan director for Save the Children, and he joins us now via Skype. And so you are in Sudan. I think it's so important because so little reporting is done out of there. It's very difficult to get in for the press. Just walk us through what's going on the ground, what you've been seeing.
Thank you very much. So you are right. I am currently based in Port Sudan, but I have traveled extensively within Sudan, including the areas which have received internally displaced people who have been displaced out of their homes. As you know, we are in the 4th month of the conflict, and more than 4 million people have been displaced. In the conflict-affected areas, especially in Khartoum and in the Darfur region, and to an extent in the Kordofan region as well. Almost all the hospitals, or more than 80% of the hospitals, are not functional anymore. There are prolonged outages of electricity. Water is scarcely available, and especially clean drinking water is hardly available. People are struggling to find even basic food items. And on top of that, there is, because of the intense fighting which is taking place in the urban areas, most of the people who are losing their lives or are getting injured are civilians, especially women and young children, boys and girls, and people are being killed indiscriminately across the areas where there is conflict.
We've seen broken ceasefire after broken ceasefire, two warring parties not prepared to think of the people of Sudan and fight it out to the death of so many people and so many hundreds of thousands, if not millions, who've been displaced both in and outside of the country. And you will be well aware that the impact on Chad and various other places is absolutely awful. As we stick to what is going on the ground, as you understand it, you're talking about morgues that have reached capacity, hospitals that are just ill-equipped at this point. Are hospitals still functioning at all?
So the health system is at the verge of collapse, if not already collapsed. Like I said, more than 80% of the health facilities in the conflict-affected areas are not functional. People do not have access to basic medication. People are dying of common diseases such as malaria. One of our own team members, Save the Children's own team members, unfortunately lost their life because they couldn't access insulin. I have seen young boys and girls in the camps where they are being hosted right now, suffering from really the ill effects of the war, not only physical trauma, but also emotional and mental trauma. It's just absolutely...
It's heartbreaking, and it shouldn't be happening. Let's be quite clear about this. I mean, this is outrageous. Cholera, dysentery, as you say, physical illnesses, mental illnesses. I mean, the trauma and the grief will impact people affected for years to come. So here's the opportunity to tell us what needs to be done next. What are you calling for at this point? And what can be done to help? Do you see a way through this?
Yeah, the international community needs really to step up its efforts, not only in terms of working with the warring parties and trying to find a peaceful solution to this problem, but at the same time, giving more resources for the people of Sudan. We have seen conflicts in other parts of the world. The recent example being the Ukraine response, where the world community just did so much for the people who were in need of that. I think we need similar commitment from the international community to provide more resources and make sure that we are able to take those resources to the people here in Sudan. And at the same time, there needs to be a little bit of flexibility on how we are providing humanitarian assistance to the people who need them the most, especially women and children in the country.
Yeah, it's good to have you, sir. So important to get your perspective as you are there on the ground today in Port Sudan. But as you say, you've travelled around the country and you are describing some very, very, very distressing situations. Thank you.